This is the Reds Down Under podcast, the best place to follow the Reds in Australia. Enjoy the show.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.
This is the weekly show here at Reds Down Under, born in Liverpool, made in Australia. Tom and Jack are unavailable for this one. They are currently, I think, recovering from that loss this morning, but it's all good because I've got Wayne from the L Files joining me. Wayne, bit of a tough watch this morning, good in patches, but the result just wasn't there, was it?
What can I say, buddy? Yeah, it was just another one of those missed opportunities, and it's been like that all this season, hasn't it? Very frustrating.
Very frustrating. I thought the first half we were pretty slow coming out the blocks. I think Haaland could probably argue he should have had a goal within the first 2 minutes. Kirkus did brilliant the track back. But yeah, a really slow start. We grew into the game come the second half. I thought we started the second half with a bit more intent and purpose. And mate, that man Szoboszlai, I tell you what, we might not have gotten the result, but that goal was just, wow. When he lined it up, I was actually quite confident because we saw what he could do against Arsenal, but this was just another level.
He can hit them, can't he? I'll come to that a little bit later. Let's talk about the thing you first mentioned. Yeah, we were very slow out the blocks. And like you said, but for Allison and Kirkers, they would have had an early goal. And they were all over us. They were getting corners, and we just couldn't string passes together. Couldn't keep control. I think there was one stage where they were like 70% possession. And, I think they had 10 shots on 10 shots on goal in that first half to our 3. So by the end of the half, though, we slowly kind of grew into it a little bit. But yeah, that was definitely City. It was very alarming to see, to be honest. I didn't expect that, especially after midweek. I thought, they had a tough cup game against, was it Newcastle in the Carabao Cup?
Yeah, Newcastle.
I thought that would have, kind of set their energy a lot earlier. And I thought we would have been raring to grow, especially, funnily enough, after beating Newcastle so convincingly recently. Dom is amazing. What can I say? He's, I don't think he's just our player of the season. I think he's actually the Premier League's player of the season. He is just being fantastic. And God, I haven't seen a free kick hit like that in a long time. Just wow, though. The bend and dip, it was just incredible. Yeah. And yeah, so disappointing though, ultimately, but we can talk a little bit more about that. I thought there were some good patches though. That second half, we really came out, and I think they started to tie, and we took control, and I thought we deserved that lead. I thought, Ekatike missed that sitter of a header, and, Cody Gakpo wasn't doing that much, and, Mo, and even Wirtz had a bit of a quieter game by his recent standards. But then again, when he got the ball, he was quite he was making things happen. But yeah, look, frustrating, incredibly frustrating. Let's talk about maybe the last 15 minutes, perhaps.
Well, that's what I was going to refer to, because that was where all the action happened, wasn't it? Like you said, slow start. We grew into the game, but all the action did unfold in that second half. And mate, unfortunately, yes, we put ourselves in a position for them to claw that goal back for the equaliser. But there has been some rumours going around that some people aren't happy with that penalty decision. Just quickly, what were your thoughts on the goal that ultimately gave City the win?
Oh, wow. The replay was hard to tell. Look, my first thought was, yeah, definite penalty. Then I saw it. I felt, I can't remember the name of the player who actually was fouled.
Nunes.
It was, okay, yeah. I felt he made a meal of it. Then again, the ball was heading towards out of play, but I felt Ali did impede him. So if it was down the other end for us, yeah, I would have wanted a penalty. So controversial. Obviously, there's a lot more talking points. That's something we did forget about, but we will come back to it. Something that happened earlier on with Mo and Gay. But yeah, I think the penalty decision was a fair one, ultimately, as much as I don't know. What do you think, Harry? What are your thoughts on it?
Look, I've written down in preparation for this that no, it wasn't, purely because of the fact I can see why they've given it, but in saying that, was that developing into something? I think the ball was going straight out. I don't know if you'd agree,
That's
Wayne,
right.
but
Yeah,
it's it just wasn't. Yeah, but I tell you,
yeah. Sorry, continue. Go on.
I was going to say, I tell you what, it was a lot of people are 50-50 on it, right? Because you see penalties get given for that and you also don't. So that's where I currently sit. But I just don't think. See, I'm always trying to back up Liverpool and say it wasn't a penalty. But like you mentioned there, if that happened at the other end, it's in the 93rd minute, something like that. We'd all be shouting for a Liverpool penalty, right?
Yeah. I think, like you said, the fact that when contact was made, that ball was definitely heading out. And there was no way that the player could have, collected that ball and probably scored a goal. So I think the laws now are so complicated as well. They've overcomplicated them. So it's hard to even make these decisions. And there was probably even bigger one that happened earlier with Gay and Mo. Was it a red card?
Go on, let's get into it.
All right. It's funny. When I first watched it, and I've even spoken to you and the guys earlier today, me and Max, we said, we don't think it was one. And I stood by that for a while. And then I had another closer look at the, I guess, the replay and have a look at the actual rules and how they work. So Mo was through, all right? And I think it was, the other defender was Diaz. I can't remember who, I think it was. And I felt, well, could he have shut down Mo in time before he got a shot off? I don't think so. I think Mo was through. And in hindsight now, I'm going to change what I initially thought. And yeah, I think it should have been a red card. I think City were very lucky in relation to that. And that could have changed the complexion of the entire game. So, yeah, I think it's one of those, big decisions that can turn a game. And I think in hindsight, the decision was incorrect. Definitely.
I think you're right in what you're saying, and a lot of what's unfolded after this game has been the fact that have Liverpool been robbed twice? Because we look back to the earlier fixture at the Etihad where Van Dijk had a goal ruled out just before halftime.
Correct.
So that sort of makes me think that Man City have got the edge on us this season because, yes, they've done the double over us. I think that's the first time in a while now they've beat us in back-to-back games in a season. But look, the drama just unfolded from there, didn't it? I mean, the game continued to go on and once City went ahead 2-0, Liverpool, as any team would do, pouring numbers forward. So what happens? We get caught. And
yes.
I mean, you can talk us through this one, Wayne, but it was just a crazy finish to a crazy game.
What can I say? I understand the rules. Why Szoboszlai was given a red card. It just seems so bizarre. The ball's in the net. And apparently they're saying, well, the goal, shouldn't have stood because it was it should be a disallowed goal because it's a goal that shouldn't have been scored. But I'm thinking, but the ball is still in the net. Surely common sense means that the ref says, you know what? Play the advantage. They've got the goal. Who cares about the red card? Now, I'll say this from a different perspective too, that, all right, Szoboszlai gets sent off, as we know, it's 2-1. What if we went down the other end and made it 2-2? That's a huge decision. I mean, if I was a City fan, I'd be so pissed off about that. It's just, it was crazy. And also, some people have also forgotten too that I think there was a shout for a penalty for us on Chiesa late in that game as well. So, I hate it when these kind of decisions kind of change the, determine results. I'm not saying it necessarily did. I feel we were the makers of our own undoing in a lot of respects because after we scored that goal, we just dropped back. And I knew we'd do that. We relaxed, we dropped deep, and we just invited them. And where I felt that we had them on the ropes and we probably should have just continued to pushing forward. And yes, it's risky, but I felt there was a second goal in it for us after that because we were in the ascendancy. And we just allowed them back in it. And I think after that, I think I've got a stat here, which is a little bit alarming. I think that's the fourth 90th minute winner we've conceded this season. And that's joint most by a team in a single Premier League campaign. I think there was two other teams. I think one was Leicester and the other one was West Ham. So yeah, we just can't manage games out. We've lost that game management. I'm not saying it's necessarily the players or leaders on the field. I think Arnie was Schlott was a little bit late in the subs. And I know we had a thin bench, but I think he could have done things a little bit differently. maybe bringing Jones and Chiesa on a little bit earlier to shore things up. Even Endo as well. Yeah, what do you say? But that ending, crazy. I don't begrudge City their win. I don't. I can't say that we deserve to lose. I can't say they deserve to lose either. It was pretty, 2-2 might have been probably a fair result, to be honest. But yeah, look, what Haaland took his chance, his first goal at Anfield. And yeah, I think, Alisson, who's usually cool and calm, made a choice that he probably regrets. But unfortunately, he also saved us quite a few times in that game as well.
Well, you spoke about there Haaland and something that he said in his post-match press conference is why couldn't he, he was sort of wanting that goal to go in for Manchester City, and obviously said in his post-match interview that why couldn't the play just resume? Why shouldn't that goal be given? So that's a conversation for another day, but it is a defeat at home at Anfield for the Reds. And also, Wayne, a step closer to Manchester City in this title race.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was some jokes around going in our chat about, this kind of dilemma. I'm not going to even say that, but if we beat City, then it's the title race over, and we don't want Arsenal to win. But we got to look after ourselves. But yeah, look, it's a massive result in the title race. I know Arsenal fans will say we're still 6 points ahead. And City haven't been exactly, the team they were when Jurgen was in charge, where they used to just literally be relentless. But this kind of result could spur them on. So 6 points is not much. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Coming up to the actual losses, that's our fifth loss at Anfield under Arne Slot. Jurgen lost 6 in 146 games when we played in front of fans. So, yeah, it's not great stats. And points wise, as I said, we are, I think, 4 points more after 25 games at what Roy Hodgson had when he was sacked, and we have less points than when David Moyes was at Manchester United as well, in similar amounts when he got sacked too. So it's not ideal. A 45% win rate in the league this season. So yeah, just not good enough overall, unfortunately.
Not ideal. I think it just shows the difference for us this season in terms of the Premier League and Champions League. The Champions League, we seem to be putting in solid 90-minute performances, but the Premier League is still unanswered. But we'll get to the Sunderland game in a few minutes because that's coming up short and sharp, so we'll get into that. But Wayne, in the meantime, you're back on the show. You're back with Stoppage Time this week. You want to talk us through, firstly, what happened last week, mate, on Stoppage Time?
Oh, my God. I had an absolute brain fart. I literally just froze. So, look, the first time I did it, the first one I had, which is a couple of weeks ago, I did all right. I think I got about 6 or something out of 12 or 13 or something. That was a shocker. I think I got 3. What was it? The question last week was how many Danes? Was it how many Danes had played for us? I think it was.
It was name the players
Dutch.
to 11.
Oh, no, that's right.
On
yes,
the back
that's
of the
right.
jet.
That's
yes.
right. That's right. Okay.
I think you got up to Endo.
Harry, go easy on me. I'm an old man. I'm like, I'm in my 50s and you're just a young whippersnipper, but actually, show no mercy. And if you're watching along, see if you can beat me. It should be pretty easy. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
That's it. All those playing along at home, have your notepads and books ready because Wayne is ready to get revenge from last week. So if you are new to this, called Stoppage Time, 30 seconds, Wayne, I'll give you questions. You just name as many as you can. So this week,
all right,
we'll be talking about the locations of where the Reds have won European and UEFA Cups in terms of the cities. So all the cups that we've won, where are the cities? So 30 seconds, all set?
Yes.
All right. So just to confirm, European Cups and UEFA Cups, where are the cities that we have won them in? And your time starts now.
Okay. Istanbul, Rome.
Correct.
Paris.
Yep.
God. Where did we beat Alves? Oh my God.
15.
Yep. Hang on. I'm trying to remember all the other ones that we had. I think Rome. No, I've said Rome. Where did we beat Motion? Borussia Motion. Gladbach. Oh my God. Hamburg.
5 seconds.
No. Hamburg. Was it Berlin? Berlin? No.
Time.
Oh, shocking.
It's tough. I tell you what, you did pretty well from the bat. You said Rome, Paris, and Istanbul, I believe.
Yes.
So you missed out on Madrid in 2019 when we defeated Tottenham 2-0. Also London, where we got back-to-back success in 1977. And then in terms of the UEFA Cups, did you say Gladbach?
Yeah, no, when we beat Borussia, what were they called? I can't even pronounce their name.
Dort-
3-1. This was a long time ago. I can't remember which country where we won that. Anyway, what about Alves? Where did we beat Alves when we won 5-4? That crazy UEFA Cup.
Not on the list.
Oh, not on the list. Okay, that's all right. That's
Not on
all
the
right.
list.
So what are the other ones? What are the other ones you got?
So the ones that you've missed are London,
Mhm.
Madrid, as I said, Bruges and Dortmund.
Bruges and Dortmund, of course.
It's not
Come
too
on.
bad. We actually had Rome twice, which you mentioned, so that makes up for 2.
All
So
right, I'll take that.
I think in total it is. I think it's like 3 or 4 out of 9, so it's not too
Okay.
bad.
Not too bad. I'm getting there.
Getting there. Next week we have to slowly increase. I think you got 2 last week, 3 possibly this week. Next week you got to aim for 4.
I should pull the seniors kind of, card and say, hey, look, can I have 60 seconds?
Oh mate, that good effort, really good effort.
All right,
let's
cheers,
let's head back to the Reds.
Yes.
Sunderland, mate, a Thursday morning, an early start at the Stadium of the Light. Sunderland, I guess they're the only undefeated team at home this season, but it comes at a bit of a cost. Szoboszlai is out. Mate, are we expecting a huge atmosphere here?
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky one, like you said. Backing up, I guess that the game against City is a big emotional thing, and we are going to miss our best player. So, firstly, lineup. I'm pretty sure I heard that Schlotz said after the City defeat that he doesn't expect Gomez or Frimpong to be ready for Sunderland. So we're going to have to figure out who's going to play at right back. I wouldn't be surprised if Curtis Jones starts. I don't think he'll start Endo there because I think Endo is probably just don't think he has the pace to maybe last. From the start, Jones should probably start there. But Sunderland are a good team. They're a tricky team as well, and to be undefeated at home in the Premier League says a lot about them. I was joking before with you earlier. I read somewhere online that someone said, knowing our season, that what's his name, Gertrude, the Dutch player, I think it was, that we were after, he'll probably score against us.
Come on,
But,
we got some positivity, surely.
We have. But no, look, I think we can still go and get a result from there. If we look, like you said, our biggest problem is that we play good in patches in the league. We just can't keep it. We're just not sustaining it. So hopefully, we can lick our wounds and go there and get a good result. But we are going to get a fierce, kind of reception, I feel. And it won't be easy. It's one of those tough away games midweek. And we've got a threadbare kind of squad as far as, bench options and defensive options. So Slot's going to have to be very smart. So hopefully not too slow a start, but I'm expecting, Wirtz and Ikatike to put in a much better showing. That's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, touching on this Sunderland team, they have kept the 2 teams that are in a title race, Manchester City and Arsenal, to a draw at home this season. So that's impressive that 2 teams of that quality have gone to the Stadium of Light and only been held to a draw. But mate, another stat about Dominic Szoboszlai, obviously he misses this game due to that professional foul. He's played 2,153 minutes this season, the 24th highest in the Premier League, and only Virgil van Dijk has played more for Liverpool. So I was discussing this earlier. Do you think it might be a good thing for Szoboszlai to actually have a bit of a rest? And you know what? You could actually rest him at the weekend come Brighton as well.
Why not? Why not? Maybe a blessing in disguise. I'd probably feel a little bit happier about that if we had a good option to kind of cover him. But yeah, no, look, for his sake, we if we can get the rest, then great. Yes. Interesting that they've kind of drawn against the top 2 teams. So we need the points though, don't we? I was reading today that if we are to make top 4, and we've got the Manx and Chelsea really firing at the moment, we need to win at least 10. That's the estimate out of our remaining 13 league games. That's championship kind of form. So we've not shown that all season. So, a point, obviously I hate to lose. And if we get a point, okay, but a win is We need to just keep winning, literally. But yeah, look, Dom, have a break. Hopefully, he doesn't play on the weekend against in the FA Cup, and you can come back a little bit fresher because, boy, we definitely need him.
Well, we'll get into the Brighton preview later, but this is certainly going to be a really, really tricky test come Thursday morning in the Premier League. And like you mentioned, with the likes of Chelsea and United slowly creeping away from us, you feel like we need to get back to winning ways ASAP. Before we do get into Brighton, though, let's, as always, as we do here on the weekly show, thank the partners of the Reds Down Under, the L Files, rawsite.com, Cheers Bar in Sydney, and Ka-Fey in Newcastle. Keep posted. I think both Cheers Bar and Ka-Fey should be showing the Sunderland game on Thursday morning because it's a suitable kickoff time, better than this morning's. Anyways, so as thank you as always to them. Wayne, anything you want to touch on with those?
No, I just want to say, good sponsors. Those L Files, they're not bad, that guy. Nah, I'll just say one quick little thing. I'll give you my little prediction for the Sunderland result. I'm slightly optimistic. And a big shout out to my good Scottish mate up in Perth too, Simon Law, old mate of mine. He's heading down from Scotland to go to Sunderland to watch that game. And I think the Reds are going to get a win there. And I'm going to go with a hard-fought 2-1 win.
2-1 win. Okay, and I certainly think it'll be hard fought. It'll be nowhere near convincing for my liking. But if you want to hear more of my prediction, and possibly Tom as well, who is still recovering from the game this morning, be sure to check out Countdown to Kick Off, our mini in-depth preview we do on every Liverpool Premier League game. That should drop Wednesday for a Thursday game. But Wayne, we mentioned the games come thick and fast, and we return to Anfield this time in the FA Cup. This time we face Brighton, who we always seem to clash with in either the Carabao or FA Cup. But what are you expecting from them? A really tough game.
Yeah, look, they're a quality side. They've been very inconsistent this season by their standards. They've lost a couple of players and obviously, different manager too, but they still play that beautiful kind of passing, electric football when they need to. And they've got some very dangerous players still, Matoma, and others as well. I think though that at home I'll still back us. It's the FA Cup, and it's to be honest, it's a realistic option for us. That could be our only silverware apart from Big Ears itself this year. So I expect Slot to go strong with the players. I would like to see him give Calvin Ramsey a start at right back. I would like to see, the likes of Rio and run, even Neone just kind of get a run or even a start. But yeah, the Brighton are a great team and it will be a tough game. But we've gotten some pretty good results against them in the Cups in recent years. But they're also a side that, know how to get results at Anfield as well. So 1-1, but, the FA Cup, it's still very important in my books as far as a credible cup to win. So I'm hoping Slot goes very strong with that. And hopefully we get some players back too.
That'd be great. Although I do want a lot of the players to come back, I'm not sure on the likes of Joe Gomez, like you mentioned. Frimpong seems a bit more longer term, judging on what Slot said. But nonetheless, we want to see some of these young lads get minutes. But more importantly, we want to see the Reds progress because it's been a while now since we've had a convincing, dominant, solid performance at Anfield. I mean, you could argue that the game, the last FA Cup game where we won 5-1 was convincing, but then again, Szoboszlai decides to do a back heel in his own goal and we concede. So I'd love to keep a clean sheet as well. So good on you, Dom. You're everywhere at the minute. But mate, let's touch a bit more on this season and what we want to achieve, because Virgil van Dijk spoke in an interview with Gary Neville throughout the week, and he said there's still something special can still happen with Liverpool this season. Obviously, the Premier League, the aim is the top 4. The FA Cup would be nice, but more importantly, the Champions League. But do you think that if Liverpool can progress past Brighton, that we might start to prioritise FA Cup and we could bring a bit of success in this competition?
Possibly. I mean, I think I spoke to you guys once again earlier saying that I suspect that the Champions League is maybe the priority, or is that maybe another group? Sorry. That the league potentially is that, well, we get top 4, great. If we don't, we've just got to win the damn tournament. But yeah, look, I think the Cups are definitely very important. Whether that's coming from Hughes and Edwards, I don't know, but I suspect Arnie's probably thinking, I've got to win something to save my own neck. I need results and I need some silverware. So, yeah, look, I I still think, there is some magic that can happen in this season. There's an old saying that, a week in football or even a few days is a long time in football. So, and you're only as good as your last game. So I think, if we can get a good win in the FA Cup and then maybe get another good win in the league again, prior to that in Sunderland, that builds confidence, it builds belief. There is still a lot of quality in this Liverpool side. I just think that the biggest issue has just been mentality hasn't been there. And I think also tactically, I think, whatever Arnie's trying to implement, he just either doesn't have the necessary type of players to do what he wants to do, or the players just haven't reacted. There's a myriad of things. There's a lot of turnovers, in different players. We sold some quality, we brought some players in. But look, this season can still be special. It's disappointing from the league as far as defending the champion title, but I think, Tom and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, and even Max has said that we believe we can still win the Champions League.
Yeah.
I'd back us in Europe. We've shown that we can beat big teams, and the FA Cup. I think if we get a good run, we can definitely do it. One thing I forgot to mention about Brighton is they did beat Manchester United in the last round. Mind you, that was a very different Manchester United to the one that Carrick is now managing. So, yeah, look, why not? I'd love to win the FA Cup. We haven't won it in ages, and it's a special cup.
It'd be very nice indeed. I think, like you mentioned with the Champions League there, if we can build a bit of form heading and progress past the next few rounds of the Champions League and FA Cup, I do believe, and I'm not sure how true it is, but Isak could be in the fray to return before the end of the season. Leone, I'm not sure how far away he is. But we start to build a consistency. We get a few players back, so that is the ideal plan. So that wraps up all the games. As we mentioned, the games are coming thick and fast. I think it's 3 games in 7 days, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see rotation. But to end today's episode, we're going to throw things back a little bit, Wayne. We're going to talk about favourite Reds partnerships. Obviously, I'm not too familiar with the older generation, so I'll let you kickstart it off. We'll go one by one. But yeah, talk us through it.
All right, let's probably talk about our most famous, kind of combination, which is Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush. They had it all. You've got our greatest goal scorer of all time, Ian Rush, who was just more than just a poacher. He was just brilliant at defending from the front. He just had a disability to know also where the net is. But no, Rushy was amazing. And Kenny, I know for a lot of people out there, especially young ones, that Steven Gerrard is the be-all, end-all of Liverpool as far as the greatest player. For me, it's still Kenny Dalglish. I obviously saw him probably in the more latter years of his career, and maybe the highlights was more when the internet came around. But Kenny was just magical. And his, partnership with Rushy was just telepathic on another level. Sensational. And what can you say? Like, those guys won it all. They did it all. And just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, you touch on a partnership that's won it all, and I certainly agree with you there. For my first one, I've gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson. It's a combination that a lot of people forget of sometimes, not only because of the fact that Alexander-Arnold has moved on to Real Madrid now, but also the fact that Andy Robertson has fell out of the fray a little bit at Liverpool's side at the minute. Don't get me wrong, I think Kirkes has improved from the start of the season, but I've gone for these two because you look at especially that 2018-19 season, 19-20, and those two bombed on forward at plenty of times. When you had the likes of Origi in the box to hit, Salah was finishing, and that right-hand side of Salah, Trent, was something special.
Yes.
But often fullbacks don't get a lot of credit, Wayne, and that's why I've gone for these two.
I think you've hit on something there. Both of them revolutionised the fullback, the attacking fullback. Yep. They set the standard. They blew the standard out. I mean, we've had some great fullbacks in our times in Liverpool's history. But these two were just, to have them both at the same time. And they're such different players too. Trent is a very more relaxed kind of incredible passer with a lot of vision, right? Whereas Andy is, he's that typical kind of Scot. He's aggressive. He's cheeky at the same time. And he's got that mongrel attitude, but he just never quits. But, the numbers that these two put out as far as assists is just they dwarf some of the best, creative midfielders that we've had in the Premier League. Like they were
Yeah.
getting numbers that you'd get from wingers or even, center attacking midfielders. So no, good shout. I actually had them on my list as well. I'm glad you said
Okay.
said those two because they were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
They were. And I think that it also helped that they had great wingers in front of them, like the likes of Salah and Mane. But it does hurt a little bit to not see Andy Robinson playing now because with the legacy that he will leave behind. And like you mentioned, those two, when they could get on forward, especially set pieces, I think you had Alexander Arnold taking him from one side and Robinson from the other. So
Correct.
they were a combination that will go down in history. Wayne, what's your second?
Well, I don't think you can go past the very famous, and look, we only really saw it for one season, but Fernando Torres and Steven Gerrard, and it was just electric. I think it was a masterstroke by Rafa to push Gerrard out of that midfield role to a more almost, Kenny Dalglish kind of, sort of deep line kind of forward kind of role, and they were incredible. I mean, you had at the time the best striker in the world, and then probably the best midfielder in Europe as well. Just combining and just destroying everyone. And I think and they would give and take to each other. That was the beauty of it. It wasn't always Gerard putting it on a plate for Torres. It was sometimes the other way around. I remember that very famous game. I can't remember what it was. The goal, should I say, where Torres has his back to goal and he's got the defender on him, and he just does this incredible flick, like backfield flick, and Gerrard just latches onto it and chases through and scores a goal. It's just one of the best assists I've ever seen. They were brilliant. I've said that word a lot, but they were.
No, you're spot on, and the understanding between those two. And I was going to get into the next combination, but I might just switch it a little bit. Now, you talked about Torres and Gerrard there, and seeing a post-match interview following the Newcastle match at Anfield, and Hugo Ekitike was asked by Gerrard about does Gerrard sort of think the way he was talking that Wirtz and Ekitike could be the next Torres and Gerrard, and you mentioned understanding and being on the right wavelength, and I feel like these two in particular, I know they didn't create anything special this morning, but they're still gelling and adapting to this team, right? And those two, I feel like whenever Wirtz gets the ball, he's always looking for Ekitike. And surprisingly enough, feel like Ekitike is always looking for Wirtz as well, even though he's playing that striker role. So I'm glad you mentioned Torres and Gerrard there because I feel like these two could slowly reach their level.
Oh yeah, you can see the what's the word? The foundation slowly forming between those two. It's quite it's very exciting. Both incredibly skillful players, and they know where the back of the net is too. So, obviously, Ekitike does have a very similar style of play to Torres as well, and even a little bit of Thierry Henry in him as well. Wirtz is a different kind of player to Gerrard, but Wirtz has just got some of the fastest feet
He's
I've ever
magic.
seen. He is. He's just so good in tight spaces. He's just got a really good football brain. Gerrard was just all power and precision. So fast and powerful. So yeah, good shout. Good shout. Who you got next on your list?
For my last one, I've gone for, and Mo Salah's going to make the list twice, obviously, because he's the player that I've witnessed in these last, I guess you could say, 5 years or so. I've gone for him and Bobby Firmino.
Oh
And
yes.
reasoning I've gone for this is because, again, and I think I mentioned it with the Wirtz and Ekitike one, they both knew each other. They knew where, especially Salah, coming down the right-hand flank majority of the time. How many times did we see him find Firmino either front stick or for the cutback? And Firmino, he was something of his own as well. Like the trick and skill on him was just incredible. He was just like, he had every single asset as a striker, right?
Bobby he was a magical player. Just so cool, calm and collected. And, he had that Samba flair where he literally danced with the ball and he would make magic happen. It's interesting you mentioned those two because I actually put him down as the trio. I included Sadio in there as well.
Yeah, fair
So I
shout.
thought, can we say a trio as a partnership? But no, those three were all different types of players, like you said, very, different skill sets and different mindsets. But Bobby was the glue, and great shout because I could have watched them all day. I mean, they terrified Europe, and I would probably argue that those three in particular in those couple of seasons that they were all firing was right up there with Dalglish and Rush as far as, our most feared attack. They were unstoppable. How do you defend against those? It's hard enough to defend against two, but when you got three.
Yeah.
So good shout.
And
I
when
had a
they've all,
Go on.
I was going to say, when they've all got that different type of attributes, that can sometimes make the defense caught in two minds. Like, Salah's that sort of player who, can beat a player, etc. That left foot was dangerous. It still is dangerous as well. And
Yes.
Sadio Mane was that sort of player who would always make runs in behind. So that's what was key to that front line, Wayne. But
Exactly.
Wayne, hit us with your final favourite Reds partnership.
Yep. So I'm going to go with this. There's a couple here. I won't go too long on them, but I'm just going to fire off some names. I thought Suarez and Sturridge in that 2013-14 season were just electric. When they destroyed Everton, when they destroyed, which team didn't they destroy? I mean, we had, probably, I'd say Suarez probably put in the best season I've ever seen from a Liverpool player in my life. He just was out of the world. And even though Sturridge would be injured often, as he always was in his career, but Daniel was just such a technically gifted player. And I think injuries really robbed us with him, because had he been fit a lot more, we could have been speaking of him in the same terms as some of these other names that we're mentioning. But they were brilliant. And the other two I want to mention, even though it was brief as well, when we got Stan Collymore and Robbie Fowler, oh boy, I love those two playing together. They were fantastic. Robbie was just, Robbie kind of had like the ability to sometimes, like a Bobby Firmino kind of, be able to turn in small spaces, and very crafty, but he was an incredible finisher. And Collymore was just, running power and, just like the big, strong striker as well. So those two are fantastic.
Incredible. Well, that wraps up our favourite Reds partnerships. But I tell you what, oh boy, you had some certainly flashbacks and some good players there. Wayne, before we do go, just going to quickly touch on Countdown to Kickoff, because it's obviously a new pod that we've brought in here at Reds Down Under. Your, I guess, in-depth preview for every Liverpool Premier League game. We release it as its individual product. So ahead of the Sunderland game, we'll have that releasing on Wednesday morning. So if you want a glimpse into the tactical battles, score predictions, even some bold calls. My score prediction was heading good this morning until about the 84th minute, where City decided to make it 1-1. I also had Szoboszlai in my fantasy Premier League team, so he scored one, then gets a red card, so I think he minus me a few points. But Wayne, before we do get going, something that we do on every podcast is message a mate after we wrap up things, so I'll let you do the honours here.
Yeah, so look, talking is important, and I know this because for the last 6 years or 7 years now, I've been working within the mental health space for a men's mental health organisation, and us blokes, we like to keep things to ourselves, but talking is important, guys. And so what we're asking you to do is get out there and contact a mate. Just even have a conversation, take him out for a drink, go play a round of golf, go watch a film, just catch up, and get vulnerable. Don't be embarrassed to talk about, how you doing, what's going on, because what we've learned is that, a problem shared is a problem halved. And, we've had Professor Pat McGorry, who's one of Australia's leading psychologists, tell us, I've actually heard him say this, that if more men spoke, mental health wards around this country would be empty. So guys, check in on a mate, because the smallest conversation can make all the biggest difference. So remember, it's okay to not be okay, lads. All right?
If you're listening to this now, think of that one mate that you haven't messaged in a while or haven't touched base with, and I guess this is your sign to reach out to that person. But guys, that wraps up the weekly show here on Reds Down Under. As always, make sure you're following us across all socials. I don't think there's a platform that we aren't on, Wayne. We're on everything.
We're everywhere. We are.
But yeah, make sure to check out Countdown to Kickoff coming out Wednesday. Yes. And in the meantime, we'll see you next week for the weekly show. Yep. And as always, Wayne, up the Reds.
Up the Reds. Thanks, Harry. Have a good night, mate. See you guys.